Hello friends, welcome to day 3 of my Perfectly Pears class to go. So I've already shared with you cards 1 and 2. I shared card 1 on Monday. This was card 2 yesterday. Today we're going to do card 3 of the Perfectly Pears class to go. I have one more card to share with you tomorrow, so make sure you come back then. Now if you want to earn the class to go completely free to make all 4 cards that I'm showing you this week, make sure that you place an order in my online store. It needs to be a $50 minimum order before tax and shipping by July 15th, and I will mail you this class to go completely free. Now there are extra bonuses at $100 and $150. The embellishments we're using this week are the holographic dots, and these are so stunning. I am in love with these. I'm going to use them on everything. They're so beautiful. So you're going to want that free package of them. So if your order's at $150, I'm going to send you a full package of the holographic dots completely free. So make sure you get those orders in by July 15th to qualify for that free class. If you have any questions on how to get that class to go for free, I went over it in detail in day 1, so you can check out that video, or you can always leave me a comment or send me a message. All right, this is the card we're making today. We're kind of going in a different route than days 1 and 2. We kind of went with, kind of fancier pears. This one we're going with some pears on branches, but I just love the softness of this card. I love this card so much. This one might be one of my favorites. It's just so pretty. Now, I did a lot of the work in advance for this one, so let me kind of go over what I did. We will be stamping the pears. I die cut 2 each of the branches. You need 2 in Mossy Meadow and 2 in early Espresso. And I've already done one of the branches. We'll do one together, but we are going to cut off the leaves and then adhere them to the early Espresso one. And that's going to give us that branch that looks like it has the branch and the leaves. So we're going to do that. So you're going to need 2 of each because you need them going in each direction. You're going to need a whole bunch of these little darling duckling flowers. So I've already pre-cut those. Let me get those off and out of the way. Now your kit will come with your piece of cloud cover already embossed with the corrugated embossing folder. This one is so pretty. It's the Mini Corrugated Embossing Folder, and it is just so much fun. So, and then you have an early Espresso piece and a cloud cover base. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already stamped our greeting to the label. Die cut is in that Perfectly Pear stamp set, and I stamped the greeting in Darling Duckling ink. So let's go ahead and get started with the stamping of our pears. Now we're going to need 2 of these, and we're using those the little double pears that we used yesterday, but we're not using the outline image. We're only using that fill-in image, and that's going to give this card that kind of watercolored look. So we're going to need 2 of these. So I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of white, and we're going to start by stamping them in Darling Duckling, or inking them in Darling Duckling. So I'm going to ink this up in Darling Duckling. I'm going to open up my Calypso Coral. Let me move this out of the way. And let's zoom in just a touch just to see that a little better. So ink it up in Darling Duckling. And then I'm going to take my Calypso Coral, and I'm going to take a blending brush with Calypso Coral, and we're just going to kind of dab the bottom of that. So I want it more yellow on the top and then more kind of orangish on the bottom. And we can stamp that. So pretty, right? Look, it looks watercolored. It just looks gorgeous. Now I'm going to clean my stamps. I just have my Simply scrub here, or Simply chamois. I'm just going to clean my stamp because we're going back into the Daffodil Delight. But I don't want to get any Calypso Coral in my Daffodil Delight pads. So we're going to do the same thing one more time. And so just a little dab in the Calypso Coral. And we're just going to dab some of that Calypso Coral just on the bottom of our pears and stamp that one more time. Gorgeous. And every time you do this, you're going to get a different look because the shading's going to be a little bit different. Your ink's going to be in a little bit of different place. So you're never going to get 2 that look exactly the same, but that's what we want, right? You're not going to find 2 pears in the store that look exactly the same. So we want that differing. You want them to look different. Sorry guys, words are hard. We are in peak summer now. I am the carpool person for my daughter, and she's got a million things going on, so I feel like I am always in the car driving her around, but that's okay. That's what summer is, right? All right, we're going to die cut these with this pear. Now you can fussy cut these if you wanted. We're going to go ahead and die cut them with the pear, even though it doesn't have the leaves. We're just going to die cut the bottom just because it's going to be a little bit easier than having to go around the image. Let me see, I gotta line this up a little bit closer to me. But again, you could just grab your scissors and fussy cut, but when there's a die, why fussy cut, right? So we're gonna cut out both of these. And if you missed my tips with the mini cut and emboss machine earlier in the week on Monday, make sure you check out the tips I shared if you're having trouble with your mini cut and emboss machine. So we're gonna end up with this funky little shape, but that's okay. We're gonna cut off those little leaf parts. And we're going to die cut this last one. Let me line that up. And let's see. I don't know why I'm having such trouble lining these up. And let's go ahead and run this through. Typically I'd like to do all my die cutting in advance because I feel like it takes me too long to line stuff up and to just do the die cutting, but sometimes you just gotta do it on camera and it's okay. I do love the mini machines though, so if you don't have a mini machine yet, that might be something you want to add to your next order because they are fantastic. Okay, so we have both our pears. Now for our card, let's bring back our card so we know what we're doing. We have two that we're gonna do on the bottom, so we're gonna do these on the bottom. So let's just grab our scissors, and all we're gonna do, we're not gonna be too precise about this because the leaves are gonna cover this up. So I'm just gonna go through real quick and just trim that off. But this one we only want one singular pear, so I'm just gonna go through and just kind of follow this line. And I'm just gonna cut this off because I didn't line that up very well. So we'll just go ahead and finish cutting that part off. And so that way we just have one pear for that. Okay, so we have our pears ready. So let's work on our leaf. So we already have one leaf done, or branch done. So let's do the other one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lay my early espresso leaf flat, and we're gonna do a couple leaves at a time. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of liquid glue on that front leaf, and we'll just trim it off of the Mossy Meadow. And if you want to die cut the Mossy Meadow one on an adhesive sheet, you could absolutely do that and just forego all the liquid glue part. I do like the liquid glue because it does give you the opportunity to kind of finagle it and move it around and just make sure that those leaves are perfectly lined up with the branch, but you could absolutely use an adhesive sheet if you don't like the liquid glue. All right, so a couple more on the leaves. This actually doesn't take too long. It is a little kind of finicky, but it's really worth it in the end, and it really doesn't take too long. And this is something you could get kids involved with too. If you're making a stack of these, nice little summer activity, just get the kids involved. They can help adhere all the leaves down. All right, this one, I'll just trim that one off. And I'm trimming them all off against the branch here. You can just cut the leaf right off if you wanted the branch going to the leaf, if that makes sense, if I'm making any sense. All right, and the last two, these are the littlest ones, but the last two, and just gonna trim those off and we'll just adhere those down. Again, the liquid glue, I like to pick it up and just kind of use my fingers and just kind of make sure that they are all nice and lined up. And then we have our second branch. Gorgeous, right? All right. Fantastic. All right, let's start assembling this thing down. Now I'm going to pull out some mini dimensionals for this because we're going to adhere our branches down with the dimensionals, and mini dimensionals will actually fit behind most of these leaves pretty perfectly. So I'm going to grab mini dimensionals. Now you can cut regular dimensionals in half, or you can trim off some of the edge pieces. That works too. I really love just grabbing the mini dimensionals. They're so easy. And I always forget about mini dimensionals too. You can also use, because we're using this dark cardstock, this early espresso, you can even use the black mini dimensionals. That would work well too. Okay, now for the greeting, I am going to put a couple mini dimensionals just behind the hello part of this. The greeting is kind of skinny, so we're just going to use that. And I am going to grab my regular dimensionals. We'll just put one on the back of each of these pairs. Okay. So everything has adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and peel off all the backings of these so we are ready to go. I'm just going to put them all off to the side after I peel the backings off. So bear with me. Mini dimensionals are kind of my nemesis with the backings. They hate to be pulled off. All right, these are coming off pretty easily though, so let's not jinx it. And 2 more to go, and then we'll be ready to start adhering these. Okay, once you have your branches done, all your adhesive together, this card actually goes together super quick. So let's get our card base. We'll give that a nice burnish with our bone folder. Measurements are all in the video description if you want measurements on any of these things. We're going to put down our early espresso piece, and this is going to help pop everything off the page. And then we're going to add everything to here before we put it down. That way we can trim stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and put our first branch on, and I'm just going to kind of place it on, but I'm not going to touch down any of those dimensionals in case we need to move things around a little bit. I'm going to put this branch going this way. Now if they hang off a little bit, that's okay. We're going to come back and trim those, so that's okay. We'll put our greeting on. Make sure that's kind of mostly straight. Okay, and then we'll come in and we're just going to tuck the pears. Just going to tuck them in so it looks like they're growing from the tree. And once you're happy with that placement, then you can go ahead and just press down all of those dimensionals and just make sure everything is nice and adhered down. So pretty, right? All right, grab your scissors or little paper trimmer and just go through and adhere off anything that is hanging off the edge of the card. And then we're ready to adhere this. I'm going to go real slow with my Stampin' Seal. Sometimes it tears the cardstock if it's been embossed. So liquid glue would also be a good one for this. Tear and tape would also be good. Make sure you adhere it right side up. You're gonna have a small border of the early espresso around all 4 sides. So pretty, right? Just so soft and pretty. This would be a great thinking of you card. Just whatever you want. Okay, we're gonna go through and add the little flowers now, the little darling duckling flowers. And I'm gonna put all of these on glue dots. Now I didn't do the holographic dots on the centers of these flowers like we did on day 1. You absolutely could. We're only using 3 of the holographic dots on this card. But if you wanted to use 5 of them, you could go and put them on every little flower. That would be fine too. But we're going to put a flower here. I'm going to put another one over here. One above this little pair, and then a little cluster of them over here. So one here and one here. All right, and our final piece for this card is we are going to add some of those holographic dots, but we're just going to kind of scatter 3 of them around. So I'm going to put one up here by the greeting, put one over here, and then one more down here. But you could absolutely put them in the center of your flowers if you wanted to. But that is today's card. So pretty, right? I just love that soft kind of watercolored look of the flowers. It just makes the card just kind of nice and soothing and beautiful. It's just a really fun card to get in the mail. All right, guys, so that is it for day 3. I'll be back tomorrow with day 4. Day 4 will be the final card in this class to go. Remember, if you want this class to go for free, all you need to do is place an order in my online store by July 15th. And it just occurred to me, there is splatter on this that I forgot to add before we started adhering all of our elements down. I just used the cloud cover Stampin' blend and just used the brush tip and just splattered some color. I'm going to opt not to do that on this one just because everything's already glued down and I don't want to get the cloud cover on my pears and flowers. So do that before you start adhering everything down if you want the splatter. But either way, it just looks stunning either way. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and make sure to join me tomorrow for day 4. If you want the class to go, please make sure your order is in by July 15th to get this class to go for free. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.